Hello, welcome back. We're still on day 3 at Precious Metal Summit at Beaver Creek, and I'm with Ian Harris, the President and CEO of Outcrop Silver. Ian, good to see you again.
You too. Exciting times here in Beaver Creek this year.
Yeah, no, there's a good buzz, and I think we'll get on to a bit of that. Obviously, the last time we had a sit down and a chat was at PDAC, so not too long ago. Why don't we just familiarise ourselves with who Outcrop are, and then we'll go into a bit more.
Sure. Outcrop Silver is focused on the Santa Ana project, which is one of the world's highest grade silver projects, a primary silver project located in Colombia. And I think the last time we talked is about our general plans that we were having for the year and what we wanted to do with the company, and very excited because since April of this year, pretty much after PDAC, we started executing those plans, and now we're delivering on them. So it's a very exciting year right now for Outcrop.
Good. All right. Tell me more. What have you been executing? What's been going on?
So last year we put out a 37 million ounce resource, but it's all located in the northeast section. It was we had some conversations earlier this week. We were damned if we do or damned if we don't, right? Because we had to put out a resource to prove the whole thing, the conceptual idea of what we have. To lay a lot of things to rest, but at the same time, when you put out a resource, people go, "Oh, that's it."
Yeah, it's
right.
That
and
classic.
So we actually have a 17-kilometer trend that is currently permitted on a. We actually have working on permits for the entire 30, but the majority is about 1 1/3 of the overall trend, and so this year was all about developing a pathway to show big, large step-ups in the resource, and this year was about really testing new targets, never been drilled before areas, taking larger step outs. So by the end of the year, we can demonstrate this is where our future ounces are going to be coming from. And another big one is we understand our value. We know how many ounces we have in our ground. We know where our company is valued. We know how much each one of those ounces is valued, and making sure that when we do our resource drilling, that we're adding those ounces to the book at a much cheaper than our current valuation.
Yep.
And so we literally have a ranking system, success rate, width, average grade, potential, and coming up with our hit list as we start. Next year is going to be focused on resource drilling. We're doing it in the most productive areas where we can ensure that we create value, even if the market stays the same.
Yeah.
I think the majority are betting that it's not going to be the same, but we base our plans on the reality that we're facing today.
Okay, would you mind telling me a little bit more about this internal sort of methodology that you're using? Obviously, in terms of the market cap versus ounces in the ground, things like that, how are you currently trading?
Right now we're about a 60 million market cap, 37 million ounces, so the math isn't too difficult, a little bit under $2 an ounce. We get a good value, I think mostly because obviously we're one of the highest grade projects out there. So that means that our drilling has to convert at a much lower. We're looking at targeting about a 50 cents per ounce in the ground is when we go out and drill things. So it's really a combination. We have a lot of work that's been done in the Northeast. That's where the majority of the focus over the years has been at Outcrop. There's less of the regional work. So it's really about filling a pipeline, generating more targets, moving those targets to become drill worthy, testing those targets, and it's more than just a single hole, right? We have to understand how the veins are actually acting, right? I'm thinking in Spanish, sorry. And to give us we know that the success rate more or less will be this. We know that the average grade will be this. We know the average width will be this, and that gets us to that calculation. So it's really about moving all those through a pipeline. We put out a press release maybe 2 weeks ago that helps walk through shareholders on that methodology.
So just from what you're saying there, though, it costs you about 50 cents per ounce that you're finding. You're being valued currently at around $2. So essentially every ounce that you find, you're getting about a four times uplift on what you're actually spending. That's exactly what we want to do. We have to be very conscious. I think there's been some overall criticism in the silver industry of not being highly dilutive to shareholders. So we want to make sure that every single dollar that we're spending, and when I do my calculations, it's on a corporate level. It's not just on a project level or a drilling level. I can soup to nuts how much is our total cost.
and how much it costs to get those additional ounces to resource, and being very diligent on controlling our cost on each meter, but also how that we're delivering those, or how we're executing on those meters. So
how talk me through this greenfield strategy or step out strategy that you're talking about here. So how many meters are you putting into the ground over the next, I don't know, say 6 months while you're doing this campaign? And it sounds as though you're 33 million ounces at the moment, did you say?
37, yep.
37. What's your goal? What are you and the boardroom saying, right, this is where we want to be really meaningful and really demonstrate some serious value here?
Sure. So this year we'll probably get in about 14,000 meters into the ground, with a program next year targeting 24,000 meters. And also, obviously, if market gets extremely hot, we would be happy to move that up to a high-end target of 48. So it's really based on the number of drills operating at any one time, right? And an end goal we'd like to be looking at the end of next year of doing a resource update, right?
Yeah.
So we have some internal goals, right? We would like to be able to get over that 80 million and probably 100 million mark. That's our goal, right? That's what we'd like to get to. And we'd like to get there because then you have a significant amount of ounces that justify going into a standard project development schedule, PEA, pre-feasibility, et cetera, et cetera. And so the next resource estimate we put out, we don't want to make small steps. We want to, they just added a little bit here and there. We want to show, nope, we were here, now we're here, and we're making a significant progress towards a larger resource. So that's what we're looking at, right? We can see, and it's nice when you can understand that you're getting valued for your ounces and adding ounces without additional value, right? But also, from a corporate interest, long term, what happens if silver prices go up, or what happens if the market, equity markets evaporate again, right? It can happen. Is also looking into how do we get into a stream of production. One of the advantages of having extremely high grades, right, is we also have extremely high recoveries. We're looking at our most recent metallurgical test work was 96% recovery of silver, 98.5% recovery of gold. We are 75% of our value is silver, 25% is gold. When we produced a concentrate, it's not a zinc or a lead or a sulfide concentrate. It is a precious metal concentrate that's extremely high grade. We've actually been talking to different off-takers to get an idea. They said we can come up with terms for your concentrate that would approximate doré. I mean, that's a big difference. So it's high grade, high recoveries, high payable, and that makes it a whole lot easier to start off on a smaller scale, get things and have that stream, because if things really want to accelerate, right, it's a whole lot easier to permit an expansion than it is to permit a brand new project. And also I have to wait till, I don't want to put out a small thing and then we get valued on our MPV when we're really, that's not the whole story, right? Exactly. And that's one of the difficult things that we navigate when we look at in the silver industry. We want to have our cake and eat it too.
Yeah, good. Why don't we just touch on that? So obviously, when we last spoke at PDAC, there was talk of maybe some small-scale production, and obviously I think we even spoke about how great the metallurgy was and the recovery. So how's that going, and how much of a priority is that? Because it sounds like really this greenfield and the step-out's the key here, but is that still going on in tandem?
Sure, and first of all, I'm a mining engineer, and I've got 25 years, and 15 of those are working in South America. I like to think I've been part of some of the more important, bigger projects getting across the line. So I have strong feelings that in order to get projects, it's less of a technical issue and it's more of a social and political. So we've really been working the groundwork. We've been doing in the background technical, but a big part is aligning with the regional government, aligning with the local government, getting them part of that process. It would be a pilot scale operation, looking at training and innovation and getting their buy-in to when you start something up and that's the groundwork that's really, really advanced this year. For example, the government of Tolima, which is like the state, it's called a department in Colombia, put on a big conference about the future of mining and production chains and the importance, and we were their star at that conference, working together with them. So we know we're getting that kind of alignment. We just went to the National Mining Conference with some of the secretaries of mining and the secretaries of sustainable development or economic development, which is very nice to see. It sees, putting putting the face towards something. Locally, even the mayor of Falun, which is the community closest to us, was also there with us, which was nice. It gives us the chance to how we can collaborate and move forward. And even Falun, it's a very common theme right now in Colombia is everybody wants their letters as in their town plaza. So it's like where you take your Instagram photo. And at Falun, it was really nice because each one of the letters had a meaning. And the L in Falun was the legacy and the future of silver for the community and a source of pride. So they on the L, there's a big solar panel and there's a geologist with his hand lens looking at a piece of core. And that means those are the type of things we said, we're doing the right things. Right? Because it doesn't go, oh, do I like you or not? It's a source. They feel part of the project. They feel it's a part of their history and it's a part of their future. And so all those type of things are so important to say, you know what, we're from a position now that we can start advancing from very solid ground. It's not going to be a slog fight. It's going to be something where we're working together in collaborative effort.
And what does that actually look like though? So is the plan still to build a small pilot plant, obviously just to prove that this thing, prove the actual the recovery rates, and also
for me it's too, as we get a lot of questions, is this doing, and I can say, well, I can point to you at other mines in Colombia. Some of the biggest mines in Colombia are doing the exact same thing that we would like to do, but it's hard. I don't get to talk to everyone, right? I mean, I love it when people, you just need to tell them. I was like, I don't get the chance to tell them, right?
Right.
So it's a whole lot easier to say, can you permit a mine in Colombia? Well, we actually already have one. Can you actually, here it already is. Are you going to get, there it is. Can you do this style of mining? Oh, we're already doing it. So it de-risks the project significantly, right? Most people would say, oh, it helps fund your exploration, but really that's just a third layer benefit. It is more important, I think, to see it the other side. If silver goes to $200 an ounce, you want to actually be able to dip into that as quickly as possible. And if it takes 2, 3, 4 years to permit, you're going to miss that window. Right. But if you can expand on something that you've built, and you've built the buy-in too, right? Be able to expand something more quickly, you've got a very solid basis to be able to achieve that.
Good. All right. Look, it sounds like you've got a busy year ahead of you, especially with the drill bit. So, say for example, we're sitting here same time at Beaver Creek, same spot next year. What do you want to be able to tell me?
Next year, the goal is to be delivering, now that we've switched from just testing targets to actually we're drilling out resource, right? Showing market that we showed you how we're going to make big steps in the resource. We showed you this is the way, the pathway, and now we're executing on that pathway. Being able to demonstrate we'll be able to hit some of these milestones. I'm hoping that me and you are sitting here and we're talking about $50+ silver, and I've got 4 drills running instead of 2 drills running, and we're accelerating those programs. But again, I like basing our plans on the reality that we're living in today, and looking at optionality of what happens if things go up, or what happens if silver goes up but the equity markets still continue to be stink, right? So we want to make sure that we're very laser focused on how we want to execute and how to create value, but have a wide vision of understanding we have some optionality and know what kind of things we could be doing if things take a change.
Okay, good. I guess last question that I guess a lot of investors would be interested in is how are you going to fund this next campaign? How much roughly do you think it's cost? Are you funded already? What does that look like in terms of the future?
Yeah, we have I like optionality, so we do have a small at-the-market facility. We have a lot of warrants right now that are in the money that help let us time properly future financing. Obviously, we need to do an additional financing. The program next year is 12 million Canadian for an entire 12 months, so that gives us an idea of the chunk of change that we're going to have to raise over the near future. But we like not being forced into exactly and taking advantage of the timing, and that's one of the reasons we like having those facilities in place in order to have finance until market. Look at today. I mean, just a week ago it would have been a terrible day to finance. Today silver is over $30. We're up 7%. Our volume is over 1 million shares per day, and so this is a market that moves quickly. So having the ability to execute on those things intelligently is a big source of how you limit dilution to your shareholders. So we obviously need to do a raise, but we are working on making sure the timing is the best possible.
Good. And what's the support like within the existing shareholder base? What does that look like?
Yeah, we have a very strong base. Eric Sprott is our largest shareholder at 11%. As personal and continue to have strong institutional partners that help us do this. Research Capital has done the majority of our raises, and it's been placed within a pretty diverse group of other institutions, which has been very helpful and continues to be, we haven't, it was Ryan, we've never done a private placement. It's all been, these type of public offerings that have been the basis for our financing. So, and they are also wonderful at providing excellent guidance. Because again, I live in Medellin, I'm in Colombia, I speak Spanish. I'm more about deriving the political and social will, executing on the ground, being very methodical on how, and obviously I enjoy speaking, but and it's nice to have that capital market support.
Obviously, you just had the great results out yesterday, some news, which is good, but it sounds like you've got a pretty busy couple of months ahead of you in terms of news flow. Why don't we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I really liked yesterday's news because it was there's more on Aguilar, which is we had a discovery hole back in June and some good results out in July. But it was really Jimenez because that was our first new target we're testing. Again, this year's about testing new targets. It was 30 centimeters, pretty narrow, but it was 3,000 grams. So you even spread that over a meter, it's still 1,000 grams. And again, that's number one. Just like Aguilar, it was a little narrow, and then we start getting, and we're hunting for the ore shoot. Right? But right now we have 2 drills running. They are putting out about 2,000 meters a month. The nice thing about Colombia is we get turnaround on our results on about in a week time period. So we expect to be putting out news from now until the end of the year on a monthly basis. We have a very strong news flow coming up, so expect more results almost on a monthly basis, more testing, et cetera. So lots of news and fun things coming down the line in 2024 for Outcrop.
Good. Look, it sounds like you've got most of the things all lined up for success here. I wish you all the best with the drill bit this year. And yeah, hopefully we'll catch up when you've got some more results out.
Awesome.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ian.